Hello, my name is Aryj. I'm a lawyer and a human rights activist from the Maldives. I've been working in the legal industry and also advocating for gender issues in the Maldives for almost 10 years now. So first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to provide some context on the state of women's rights in the Maldives. I hope the information I provide in this video is helpful. In the Maldives, women constitute about 49% of the total population to the 51% held by men. The available data shows that the major socio-economic issues faced by women in the country come from cultural or religious beliefs, lack of self-confidence and lack of confidence from others, financial resources, and also family support. Due to these reasons, the data shows that there is a definite gap between men and women, both in the public and private life. According to the government, one of the biggest challenges to women in the labor force is the lack of childcare arrangements. And actually, majority of women report unemployment not due to unavailability of work, but rather due to family obligations like childcare and domestic work. Recently, the government has started providing 6-month maternity leave for mothers, but the same is not provided for fathers. So while it is helpful in some ways, it is also detrimental because it reinforces the belief that men should be less involved in caring for children and domestic work. Surveys show that the majority of men are of the opinion that men and women do not command equal footing at home. And a common perception amongst Maldivians is that the role of a woman is in the house. This is contradictory to reality because women make up the majority of the labor force, even if you look at the government. In fact, more women than men are employed in agriculture, manufacturing, education, health, and social work sector. But women's average monthly incomes are less than those of men in all industries and all sectors, even in the industries with the majority of women. And while in the public sector, women make up 55% of the workforce, the highest levels of job classifications and decision-making in the government are dominated by men to up to 80%. So it's not surprising that sexual harassment at the workplace is a daunting reality and an accepted norm for most employed women in the country. And women are reluctant to come forward to report such issues because while there are very comprehensive laws on sexual harassment and other sexual offenses, implementation is limited, and most of the time, survivors suffer more from coming forward than the perpetrators. The most concerning issue in terms of women and crime, of course, is violence against women. A worrying 1 in 3 women have faced some form of physical or sexual abuse in their lifetime in the Maldives, while almost 10% reported physical abuse during pregnancy. Shelters have been made for female victims of trafficking and domestic violence, and many institutions and procedures have been established to protect survivors and to provide safety for them. But many cases remain unreported due to lack of economic independence of women, fear of losing custody of children, and the stigma of being victim blamed, to name a few. Furthermore, restrictions in family law prevent women from having the same rights in regards to divorce and marriage, making them more vulnerable to domestic violence. Surveys also show that the majority of men do not believe in women's rights to participation in public life or politics. Even so, women's participation in politics is quite high. It's just the representation in public life which is the issue. Women are at the forefront of revolutions, protests, and social leadership, but there has not been an increase in their participation politically, and no effective measures have been taken to address this issue in the past. Female participation in parliament has seen a decrease since being 12% in 2005. For other legislators, senior officials, and managers, women constitute less than 15%. Even so, we have seen great strides within the last year, with our first female Supreme Court justices being appointed and our first female Minister of Defense. It is also important to note that these are not all the aspects when you talk about gender and issues faced by women. An example of the relevance of gender to policies that appear not to be relevant from a gender perspective is that of climate change and its disproportionate effect on women, especially in the Maldives. While the effect of climate change on women has been proven via data globally, we do not have any local research and data available on this. and hence women who remain disproportionately affected by climate change remain susceptible to it and has no additional protection in the Maldives. Even more, a woman living in a remote island in the Maldives faces a different level of oppression because of her circumstances. So she sometimes does not have access to proper medical procedures, contraceptives, and reproductive health care. It's not all doom and gloom though. A survey in 2017 which sampled more than 100 Maldivian companies and foreign companies based in the Maldives noted that of those surveyed, more than half believe that women bring something better to the table than men. And gender parity has been achieved in regards to literacy rates, enrollment, and attainment of primary, secondary, and tertiary education. In the past few decades, we have seen women fighting harder than ever to stop the gender stereotypes that have been enshrined quite recently in our history, to stop the misrepresentation of women and their role in society, to address the disparities not just in relation to gender, but other factors like age, race, sexual identity, nationality, geographical location, and socioeconomic class as well. With the work that we are doing, I am hopeful that the future of the women of Maldives and the entire world shall be a lot brighter than it was before.